Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to the party stream! Burr, 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 burr. Air horn noises. Alright guys, it is Thursday, which means it's time to paint some miniatures. We are continuing on my ongoing quest that I'm chronicling on YouTube to paint the Monster Emmanuel. Today, we're going to be painting this boy. We got a Reaper Frost Giant from the Bones line. He is a big boy. I love him. He looks like a great big dwarf, and it's going to be so fun to paint him. I love Frost Giants. I think they're my favorite giant. For a little bonus, because it's going to be kind of in the same theme, I also have a Winter Wolf, and this is going to be the easiest thing in the world to paint. I didn't want to feature it on its own stream, but it'll be a nice little thing to do while I'm waiting for paint and shades to dry, assuming I have to. Failing that, I've got some more Oathmark miniatures I got some work done on. I'm going to be using them as guards, so they have shields as well. Alright everyone, well we got our normal painting supplies. Obviously we have our miniatures. We have plenty of paint. We've got our brushes. We have our water cup. We have our wet palette, our very well used wet palette. And a nice frothy adult beverage. My camera's a little bit too close, but today, in honor of Vikings, we are in fact drinking from a horn. Because I have several drinking horns and they are fantastic. So with that, let's quaff some beer. And let's get ourselves started. Music today is Chiptune from Pretzel Rocks. Penguin the Strong, welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoy. Hope that I believe you're brand new, so yeah. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to say hi in chat. Feel free to chat as much as you want. Usually, the more people talk, the more I talk. I'll try to keep up with the chat as best I can. We're going to go and start out with some Snow Shadow by Reaper. Yeah, if you have any questions, please, please, please feel free to chime in and ask. Now, one of the things about this miniature is that it has a shockingly small amount of actual skin on it. So the Snow Shadow is going to go on the skin. Skin that we have available to us. Use a pretty crappy brush. Now because we're doing a pretty light color on a black, we are going to have to do 2 coats. But it's Reaper and it's a white-based color, so that does get pretty good coverage. Yeah, I'm getting ready to start a D&D game that takes place in kind of a frozen North territory. One of my players asked me what I was painting tonight. I showed him the Frost Giant. He's like, I'm afraid of that big old Norse boy. I might wind up doing more. Reaper's got a couple different sculpts of Frost Giants that are really cool. Not just the giant dwarf like this guy. So since we've got giants on the palette today, a giant on the palette today, I figured I would go ahead and talk about giants a little bit and why I love using giants in D&D and why I think giants are criminally underutilized in D&D. I mean, these guys are... giants are one of the greatest monsters in mythology you will find. They're the main adversaries in Norse mythology. I'm pretty sure that they exist in all sorts of different mythologies. I like them because they're not just big, nasty brutes, even though their stat blocks in D&D typically just kind of cast them as big sacks of hit points. Most of the giants are craftsmen of various sorts. It depends on what they craft. I mean, hill giants are different. Hill giants are just big, dumb brutes. Alright. So yeah, Penguin the Strong, feel free to chime in with anything you'd like, or you are welcome to sit down and lurk like a weirdo. But if you are painting anything with us tonight, please pipe up and let us know what you're doing. I love hearing what people are painting. Let's go ahead and take some gray. I know I've got some gray around here somewhere. Actually, you know what? We'll do Hydra Blue. We'll go ahead and keep this in really blue tones. Hydra Blue is Reaper. It's a Cav color, and of course I have to use Cav colors when I paint because I love them. Give it a good shake. Now, Hydra Blue is primarily a gray, but it's a very blue gray. So we're gonna go ahead and let's get it here on these like furs. Let me know if you're having difficulty seeing anything or if my camera's too close or anything like that. I never claim to be very good at this. I'm not a videographer by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a painter, I'm a maintenance guy, I can tell you a whole bunch about nuclear power, but I cannot really do very much in the way of videographer. I got a friend who does video editing. I should probably talk to them about maybe making my setup a little bit better, tweaking my settings. One step at a time. So yeah, I think we should be able to get this guy done tonight. I mean, him's a big boy, but the detail's all pretty standard on him, and I'm not going to have to do, like, the Paizo characters where they've got all sorts of different backpacks and belt pouches and all that kind of stuff. It's not a Games Workshop figure either. So this guy is here for a fight. I believe with that, our Snow Shadow is mostly dry enough to get another coat on. So let's start on the knees that we started on before. A nasty mold line that I didn't remove back there, but it's bones material, so removing mold lines is a giant pain in the butt, and I don't care. This isn't for a commission, so I don't think anybody else is going to care. Now, Snow Shadow, even though it is a shadow, when it's color triad, it's actually a highlight. It's like a very blue-gray highlight paint, but it works really well for what I'm going to be using it for here. So use it I shall. You want to get a nice, clear, and smooth base coat. Alright, that's looking good. Well, since we're going to have to wait for that to dry a minute or two, because I don't think there's... Yeah, we can do a little bit more. We can get our Snowdrift White. We're going to do this on his beard. Snowdrift White was a color they did in the Christmas pack a while ago. I got it a couple years ago, and it's a fantastic color. It is a white, it's an off-white, and it's a step below Vampiric Mist, which in and of itself is a step below Pure White, which makes it fantastic for doing a white base coat, especially if you're going to go ahead and shade it down and then bring it back up like I'm going to. This guy is a frost giant, so he's going to have a nice big snowy white Santa Claus-like beard. A little bit of that Hydra Blue on there, but that's perfectly fine. So far here, we've used nothing but cool tones. Snow Shadow, the Hydra Blue, and now the Snowdrift White is an off-white, but it's a cool off-white. This is not warmth. This is not warm. There's not an ounce of warmth to this paint. You know, on account of it being Snowdrift. Let's not forget his flowing mustache. He's like, I mustache you a question. All of this hair going all the way around. All right. So there we go. Get a little bit more beard here. Well, I'm going to go a little bit different. I want really cool metals. So we got Skeleton Key. Skeleton Key, for those of you not in those, probably my favorite Reaver metallic. It is a silver, but it's got a little bit of a bluish undertone. And it has really good coverage. Also, for those of you not aware, I don't know exactly what this is that we're listening to, but I think it might be Werewolf Battle Rap. Pretzel takes us on some journeys sometimes. We'll listen to the chiptune station for a while, then we might go back to synthwave or switch over to electro swing. getting a little bit tired of hearing the same songs over and over again on my music. We'll do the same thing on these bracers. Most of it is going to be steel. We're going to go and bring it up with some like bronze or gold on the trim and the filigree on the inside. We've got some greaves down here. So we've got some fur on the back of the greaves, which does make sense. So we'll go and do those in Hydro Blue. I think after this stuff, we'll be ready to shade them down. Remember, guys, use a big brush if you can. There's no reason, there's no sense in using a small brush when you can get away with using a big brush. All right. More of this Hydro Blue. One of the downsides about painting fur things on models this big is that the cuts tend to be really, really deep. This guy kind of feels like they just made a Viking dwarf and then scaled him up. So all the cuts are really, really deep on him. That's actually a criticism I'll have about this model, is that there's nothing really on him that gives him a sense of scale. It's like he just looks like a dwarf, just bigger. And I always feel like that's kind of a missed opportunity when making giants. Because under the Warhammer giants, they all, like, you can look at it by itself, and there's a lot of, like, cues in there to make the thing feel like it's a big dude. Like, it looks like gravity's pulling down on him everywhere. A little more of this. Yeah, so now that's done. Let's grab a really big brush. Now we gotta wait for that to completely dry before moving to the shade. So let's go and take this Snowdrift White that we have left over, and we're gonna start dousing this Winter Wolf in it. Now, winter wolves are way more than just big wolves. I mean, these things are like manifestations of the evil darkness of winter. So he doesn't need to be just white. He needs to be white. Like capital W white. Like if I can find my apothecary white, that's what I'm going to use to shade him down. Like it's going to be a challenge making so you can even see his crap because it's going to be so white. Shade him down as much as I dare. Now this should also tell you something about Reaper paints, especially the Snowdrift White. I'm doing white over black, and this is the kind of coverage that I'm getting. Granted, it's an off-white, and yes, you can still see parts of the black through it, but still, this is like one coat, and I'm getting amazing coverage. More of that Snowdrift White. And it looks like on so many of the Reaper things, they decided to declare, yes, this is in fact a boy Winter Wolf. have decided to make it very clear underneath that this winter wolf is a male. Remember when I saw the first dong on the Hellhounds? I was very surprised about that as well, but I guess if it's, doggo dong is okay. Let's get some more beer. That's right, bet you never expected that you'd be sitting here watching me paint Dog Wingus. Let's do some basing stuff on this guy. We got Tempest Gray. I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to go and do this basing color early, so it has a lot of time to dry. So because I got the ballast on here, we're going to have to water this down quite a bit in order to make sure it all gets in. It doesn't just soak up paint. But consequently, it tends to take a long time to dry. I should be doing that much earlier on my processes. Because if I pride myself on efficient work and minimizing time that I have to sit down and wait for things to dry, then I really should be taking care of this stuff well ahead of time. I'm going to do brown on the base, so we're going to go and do that now. This guy right here, I'm going to be doing most of him is actually going to be relatively light, and the base is going to be dark. Hey, Sanctus Seraph, that's going all right, man. We got a big old frosty boy that we're working on, as well as a frosty pup. And by frosty pup, I mean horrible manifestation of the darkness of winter. By the way, for those keeping track, we got olive skin here. And because I have a little bit really watered down flesh tone here from the last thing I painted, we're going to mix that in there. Get a little bit of variation. And we'll use the paint. Tonight we are just drinking beer. It's from a California brewery. It was on BOGO at Publix the other week, and so I picked up some. This is a guava lager. And the other one is a mango lager. Just yammering out on myself. I don't even know if anybody else is in the room right now. I got a couple people actually. Dax do, another tabletop viewer, Haven have this, and Capsis. That's just people who are popping up on the viewer list. I'm still not exactly sure how it goes. Yeah, the Guinness Extra Stouts are good. I think I actually prefer the regular old Guinness Stouts though. They are quite good though. It's just there's nothing else in the beer world quite like Guinness. Such a unique flavor. How is our drying going on here? We are really close, so let's go ahead and help it out a little bit. We'll just finish off with that. Take this big brush that we were using. So it'll be perfect for what we're going to do with it now. Alright, so we went ahead and grabbed the secret to painting really cool snow tones, Koala Green Shade. Let's go ahead and get this shook up real nice. And I am smart, so I'm going to go and put it in my little rubbery triangle thing, and it is not going to spill. We're going to go and apply this over everywhere we put paint except the base. Yes, Cola Green shade is green, but it's also very blue. It's very, very turquoise. It's going to give a cool effect to the metal. We'll be able to build up from that. It's going to create some really nice undertones on the beard. I want to be generous with this. Those of you who want to learn how to do colored metallics, do a silver, run a shade or a contrast over it. You're done. You get beautiful colored metallics. Let's get this bracer. So we should get the other side of the axe here. Alright, so now while we got all that nice, beautiful turquoise shade on, we're going to build up from there, but that's the baseline we're going to use for most of the giant stuff. In the meantime, let's go ahead and do some other painting. Let's go ahead and let's grab our Apothecary White and let's go and do that on the Winterwolf real quick. Have a little bit more beer while we're at it. This is definitely going to be a night to be polishing off some of that stock. Yeah, Script Charger Gray, that's not what I'm going for. Apothecary White, here you go. Now, Apothecary White's a great color. If you need to do a really, really bright, clean white, this is the way to do it. Do a little bit of an off-white, very, very slight off-white, Apothecary White, and then layer up your white on top of that. Now, I put an agitator in here, so when this stuff at the bottom, you want it completely broken up before using it. So you should have an agitator in pretty much all of your paints. It helps out tremendously. If all else fails, if you got metal model, a little bit of metal sprue will do the job. You don't need to buy anything for it. So let's pull up another, the same brush that I did, should be cleaned out by now. Pull out these, and let's pull out this. You've got to make sure that this is completely done, because Apothecary White is a real light color, and you don't want to adulterate it with other colors of paint. Probably all the paint that I actually need, just only on one side of it now. So let's go and spread that around. I'm not worried too much about stuff getting on the base because there's going to be a lot of snow going on this guy. Alright, there we go. So while we're waiting for that to dry, you can see this is already kind of drying a little bit. Let's go ahead and start on all of that. Start on all this leather that we're going to be working with. We're going to go, I'm not going to do olive skin. We're going to want to keep this fairly light, and relatively warm. So we're going to go with driftwood brown. This is another paint that's primarily a highlight. It goes with a wood stain brown and shield brown in the triad, but it's probably like my favorite go-to brown for something that's a little bit warm, but generally in the mid-tones of it. Really good for woods. Over here. Let's grab ourselves a decent-sized brush, but not like too big. Start the ground and work our way up. See right here, we got a ton of shade pooling right here in the greave area. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of pick up some of that. What's going on, Elmarin? Welcome to the stream, buddy. Got a Frost Giant tonight. Painting 1 XL Frosty Boy. And we're soaking up some of this shade that is really pulling up along his feet. So Sanctum Seraph, Ilmarin, you guys painting anything tonight, or are you just watching me like a weird, like a bunch of weirdos? Yeah, he's a really cool sculpt. This is one of my favorite Reaper ones. One of my favorite ones for the Bones line specifically. Eating food, living through you vicariously, sir. Well, Sanctum Seraph, you got no excuse. Finish your dinner, then sit down, pull out some stuff and paint. You got plenty of elves and space elves and other elfy things to paint. Which, by the way, surprisingly enough, by painting the monster manual, I have very few elves I actually have to paint. There's not very many in that book. I mean, any of the NPCs can be elves, but I'm doing humans for most of the NPCs. I need a... This one will do for these gloves. I need a smaller one to get inside some of this armor. One of those Bones 5 chronoscopes this week. I'll send it. Cool, yeah, absolutely. Starting Factorio. I'm assuming that's another one of your Vigi games. It's fine though. I'm happy to get people viewing. I'm happy to get people chatting. Helps when there's people chatting. I have sent it. Cool. I'll check it out when I'm done with the stream. I'd say I gotta hustle to get this guy painted tonight, but I don't think that's gonna be a challenge. Let's get a little bit more paint on this palette. Smaller brush for the rest of this. Right. That's going to be it for that brown. Nope, got a little bit about that little bit I missed. Alright, let's go ahead and that's the driftwood brown. Let's go and get one that's even, that's a little bit warmer for some more stuff. Let's go and pull out the saddle brown. It's nice and well shaken. Actually, let's go really dark. Let's go nut brown. Plus, I get a like, so I can call it nut brown. I feel like there are several things with shading the suit that I'd seen you talk about. It helped a lot. Cool. Yeah. Like, especially if it's a black one. Because I know I talk a lot about shading black. Well, cool. Glad I could be of a bit of assistance. I don't have a problem giving people tricks and tips. That's the thing, is I never claimed to be a particularly good painter, but I am fast. Plus, I'm a firm believer in being good at things is not the point of doing them. Especially when it comes to art. The point is to have fun. Express yourself. Yes, I'm expressing frosty and angry. So this, we're going to make sure to have at least 2 different types of leather, just because there's a lot of leather on this guy. Yellow bone, creamy ivory, bleached linen. There you go. Okay, yeah, we're so really, really pale and light. Which that does sound like one of my progressions. Just a little bit of painting underneath here. A little on the undercarriage, so to speak. All this brown done. Gonna get the bronze done on it so that it's ready to do the brown shade on the browns. start layering up on the blues. So that's supposed to be this brown. Alright. So I am not going to do cursed gold on this, because I don't want it to look too gold. I should have grabbed a different color metallic beforehand, but I didn't because I'm a bad streamer, and there's a couple of colors that I didn't get what I should have. Not cursed gold. We were just talking about how that's not the color we want. Definitely not new gold, definitely not scorched metal. Okay, come on. I want to go with like a bronze or a brass. Ideally, the more bronze we can get, the better, because that's going to keep it from looking too bright and gold. Here we go. So I think that'll do the job. We're going to do dragon bronze. It's going to take a lot of shaking because this paint likes to separate. Lots of shaking. Alright, now for this one we are actually going to need quite a bit of control, so we're going to grab a much smaller brush. One that's still got a good point. There you go, this is an Army Painter standard brush, which is about, I think, like a size 1 or a size 0 round. We're gonna get the stuff on the tips. Let's get framing on all the filigree on his helmet. I just feel a little bit ashamed that he can't, like, really see his eyes. Can't show off my skills on eyes. I have not done a ton of this dragon bronze before. I like how it looks. I do think I'm going to have to get a second coat on a lot of this, though, especially on like the areas like here where it's more area to just to get it a little bit smoother. So bottom up on the browns. Let's do top down on the gold, on the bronze. Some of the nice things about painting giants is it's way easier than painting PCs. That was really funny. Sanctum Seraph says that he's a little bit nervous about the Frost Giant, but he's not at all nervous about all the dragons I've painted. What do I know, Sanctum Seraph? He says, you know what? This just absorbs paint because it's all detail in there. Hey, Frost Giants are no slouches either, but it's like this guy's a CR7 creature. That adult white dragon I've got is a challenge rating, I think, 13. How's that axe looking, guys? Yeah, guys. Also, for those of you watching, anytime you wind up painting a model where it's got a lot of raised detail like this, definitely do something to pick out that raised detail. I mean, try to do it in a more contrasting color than just saying, oh, here we go. We're going to dry brush it in the same color. It winds up just adding so much depth and life and character to your miniatures. studs on the skirt. It's on those hanging things, whatever it is they're called. Oh, I missed part of this. There we go. All right. This bracer. Knocking over paints. Alright. Let's get the back of this axe. Speaking of our brush, we haven't done that in a little bit. Out the brush a little more. This is getting a little bit too thin. Alright, that is thinned down on my palette a bit. Thinner stuff up here just to make it a little more even. Alright. Let's get working on these greaves now. This is definitely the most labor-intensive step of this guy. But it's going to be really worth it. It's already looking great. Oh, this is a good model. I think we just got this, his girdle. We'll be ready to douse it in the Agrax Earthshade. After I get this, finish out this Grieve. Thank you, Sanctum Seraph. So that's that. Alright, now let's get that girdle. Gonna get a bigger brush. Let's go and take that brown that I had. I'm gonna go ahead and this is the nut brown. Because axes do not have metal halves, they may have metal ornamentation, but they have halves made of wood, and that is actually a very important design aspect to them. Alright. Alright, we gotta wait for that to completely dry before proceeding. So, let's go ahead and do more shading in the meantime. I seem to have completely misplaced all of my shades. Okay. Hey there. Right in front of me, hold on. Okay, so asking, what color is the beard and hair going to be? So the beard and hair are going to be snowy white. I'm not using exclusively. I'm still using some Games Workshop like shades and contrast and stuff. But besides that, I am using Reaper. And do I watch Squid Bar? Yeah, I actually did just do the big paint review. And actually, they got a couple things wrong about Reaper. So one of the things that they were talking, one of the things that Reaper got dinged on in the final score, was the availability, where they talked about Reaper stuff only coming in the triads that they could find in their shop. So Reaper has distribution issues in Europe, much like Vallejo has them in the States. If you remove the distribution issues from in Sweden over there, Reaper and Vallejo, quality-wise, are very comparable. I love them. I've been using Reaper for decades now. The Master Series paints, they are very high quality. They flow well. They dry matte. They've got an incredible color selection. The flesh tones. So one thing I talk about when I'm talking about Reaper paints, one of the reasons why I like them, there is a set of Reaper paints. Dark shadow, dark skin, dark highlight, tan shadow, tan skin, tan highlight, fair shadow, fair skin, fair highlight. They are 1 9-paint progression. And if you get them, all of them, you can do basically any skin tone you can imagine, as I like to say, from Wesley Snipes to Tilda Swinton. And normally when I'm doing commissions and I'm asking for flesh tones, that's normally the spectrum I ask. It's like, where on the spectrum of Wesley Snipes to Tilda Swinton do you want your character's skin tone to be? Because I'm pretty sure between those two, you've got everything from rather dark to extremely pale. And you can do that with just a 9 paint progression from Reaper. This brush is too big for this. And that is not dry yet. I'm not ready to do this step. I jumped the gun. So we'll do a little bit of this, and then we'll layer while we're waiting for the rest of it to dry. All right, let's layer up while we wait for this the bronze to dry. Yeah, I know. Like they had neither one of the guys had ever used Reaper paints before, and they were both very surprised at how good they are. Yeah, Solden got dinged for a similar thing too. Apparently, and it's Europe, and distribution on the other side of the coin has. Yeah, it does. It does, and that's one of the things is that like. It's kind of like the reason why Vallejo is a little bit harder to get here in the States. It's because it's just their distribution chain isn't set up here, while over there. 3 triads, you have all the flesh tones. Exactly. I mean, mind you, they have more flesh tones. Like they have the Bones line flesh tones. They also have like olive and golden skin. If you want like things a little bit different. But I found that honestly, those 9 paints, and if you play around with undertones a bit, you have every flesh tone you could ever want. We are jumping back to Snow Shadow by Reaper to go and start layering up on the skin. Make sure that this is thin and flowing very well. But yeah, I primarily use Reaper. There's a couple things they don't do, like they don't have the shades and the contrast paints like Games Workshop does. They don't have any of the special effects paints. But it is interesting that, like, going back to Reaper after doing a bunch of Games Workshop stuff, it's like, and then jumping back and using Games Workshop paints, you don't realize how satin the finish on Games Workshop paints actually is. But yeah, you get those 3 triads, and then using either a Reikland Flesh Shade or Druchii Violet, depending on how dark it is, for like some shading. And you can basically do any skin tone you can imagine. God, I gotta thin this down a lot. I'm gonna have to do a second coat on this highlight. But yeah, I'm glad that Squidmar liked the Reaper stuff so much. It's a really good paint line. And it bothers me that I don't hear it talked about more in like a lot of the big painting circles. But yeah, so those 9 paint lines, it's an interesting story that, like, when they were developing the line for their basic flesh tones, they actually went to the makeup counter at a department store and asked for samples for the basically the 9 progressive flesh tones, and they based the colors off of those. So it's like the colors are based off of actual real people's skin. So we got some really nice frosty. Got a little bit of Snowdrift white here, where we're going to go and mix that in with the Snow Shadow. Put a dab here. You don't quite want Snowdrift white for the next layer. We're going to pull out one of the liners. Keep it nice and thin. And my very favorite type of highlighting, we're going to trace muscles. Thin enough that it is going to be a very, very subtle highlight when it dries. That's good because it's what we want to go for right now. It's subtle. Thin, keep it subtle. Alright, so I think the skin is basically done then. go ahead and get that snowy white beard. Snowdrift White. We are going to pick a small one of our dry brushes, actually like a dry brush instead of one of the cheap makeup brushes. Building that up. Alright, next step up we got Vampiric Mist, which is a step up from Snowdrift White. I use the same brush without cleaning it out in order to give it an even better transition. Lighter dry brush. Alright, there we go. Check out that beard. Next, let's take our Hydra Blue, and we're going to do the same thing, and I'm not going to clean out my brush, so it is a little bit brighter. But no, that is not Hydra Blue. You know what? Screw it. We'll do this. I gotta do a little bit of dry brushing of the shadows of the skeleton key anyway. Not a ton, but I do need to do some. Picking up the part. Axe brightened up. Let's dry that out. Now, since I have this and I want to use it before it goes bad. Eh. On the helmet. Let's do a little bit on these bracers. That should be good on the bracer. Alright, so now we got Hydro Blue. Let's do more dry brushing. And go and build up from the fur again. And then we're going to dab in some of this Vampiric Mist in with it. Brighten it up even further. Alright, he's looking good. Stretch my back real quick. Now let's go ahead and I should have done this earlier, but I got focused on all the blues. Let's start doing more with this. More with the Agrax Earthshade. Be generous with it to darken up all this leather. Yeah, Sanctum Seraph, are you using are you still using Games Workshop, or have you switched over to a different one for your paints? All right, and with that, I'm going to have to wait for stuff to dry on him. So we're going to go ahead and do a couple, one or two more things. Got some skeleton bone. Let's paint these horns. Looks like I've got a little bit of like brown or something on the beard, so we'll go ahead and touch that back up. We're going to have to wait for this to dry because this bone is going to take a second coat. You very clearly seen on the other horn. All right, in the meantime, let's go ahead and fix up that beard. Somewhere around here, I have a paint with precisely one application, and it's this. Here it is. Dragon White, also known as Pure White. I want to do this anyway, so we're going to go ahead and dab a tiny bit of this. Now, I will almost never use Pure White on anything. But this is one of the few instances, because I want this beard to be beautiful, beautiful Santa Claus snowy white. Okay, next, while we wait for stuff to dry, Shining Mithril. And of course it's clogged. Shining Mithril is a white metallic. There's another one that has very few applications, but this is going to be one of them. Okay. And that is a careful dry brush along the edge of a weapon will make it look extremely sharp. So it looks like the horns are dry enough. We can go and pull out our Seraphim Sepia because I will use this on every single project I ever do. Pure white with this, is pure white the same as dragon white? Yes, they are basically the same color. They are both titanium white. The difference is pure white is the Master Series formula, dragon white is the Bones formula. So they have slightly different properties and slightly different color coverages, but the colors themselves are identical. There we go. Add the sepia tone to that. We're going to go ahead and take some of this skeleton bone we have. Just do a little bit of dry brushing along the base. All right. So we're looking really good so far. We got to brighten up that brown. But in the meantime, I am going to go get myself another drink, so I will be back momentarily. All right, the wife wanted to see this guy right here. We're going to call him Sven. That's his name now. He is Sven. All right. Same brush. Because we are ready to work on the horns. More of the bone. Okay, got just a little bit of that sepia showing through now. Then we're going to take just a little bit of that pure white. Just going to put a couple lines going up. I'm throwing paint all over the place tonight. All right. Let's layer up some of this brown. So we got some of that driftwood brown. Still on our palette. I'm just going to clean up the leather with it. Needs to be a lot thinner than that. Wearing up these snowshoes just a little bit. The real fun part. And what I'm doing, like lining all of the leather work. You don't have to do this, but it will make your guys look a lot better. Alright, there's that. Now we're going to go and take some of that nut brown and mix it in with the driftwood brown. And we'll create a nice little highlight layer for all the nut brown. heavy on this one because we're going to do another layer after this. Even more of that driftwood brown mixed in. Let's mix in the rest of that driftwood brown. Thin it down. Alright guys, and I actually think he's pretty much done. So we're gonna set him aside for the moment. Let's hop back on this one. Let's get the big dry brush because we're gonna do this guy's just gonna be dry brushing. So we got Snowdrift White and we did the Apothecary White, so we're gonna jump straight to Vampiric Mist. Making sure not to completely get rid of the Apothecary White. Make sure to go against the fur grain the entire time. Alright, and you think we can't go any whiter than this, but we can. First, we got a sample that I know is actually Morning After Blues. I'm gonna go clear out the clog on the nozzle. This is an extremely light blue. And then we have our Dragon White, our pure white. We're just going to go and layer up on the pure white. I didn't take care of that nasty mold line, and that's going to bug the crap out of me, but nothing I can do about it now. Alright. Down on the face. Do this one. Pure white. Just brighten it up a little bit. Now I have my 50-50 mix of Lamian Median and Drakenhof Nightshade here. And we are going to very carefully apply this. The eyes. got that white spot there that I accidentally painted over. Alright, we got a little bit of skeleton bone to do. We're gonna take the one of our detail brushes. Gonna drink more beer. There we go. Aggro third shade on the base. Alright, I got one more paint color to do on the giant, and that is the finishing touch, which anybody who has watched the stream knows is rimming the base in a pure black. So let's see if I can find my pure black. There it is, pure black. We're going to rim the base of the Winter Wolf as well. I'm going to have to do something that I really don't particularly want to do on this guy. But because he is a Bones Classic model, I think the Bones Classic material, this is one of the many reasons, I am going to have to seal him, but I can't seal him with a spray. Otherwise, he'll get sticky. No matter how many layers of paint I put on him, he'll get sticky. So I have to seal him by hand. So let's go ahead and show you what I use to seal Bones Classic models. Mod Podge. This is Mod Podge Matte specifically. A nice big ol' clump. Big brush. Water it down just a little bit. Even though it looks all white now, it will dry very, very clear. I don't know what it is about the plasticizer they use in Bones, but it likes getting sticky with anything aerosolized. Now the base is modeling clay, ballast, and polystyrene base, so I don't have to do this on it. All over the model. The nice thing is it does dry very quickly. And after this, I can seal it because this, while it says matte, it's actually very slightly satin. I always feel like I'm undoing everything I just did. Alright, well, in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to dry, let's go ahead and do some basing stuff on it. We got the Howlin' Blizzard. Because this is a frost giant, therefore it should have lots and lots of friggin' snow on its base. Do it on the stuff that's not the Viking Ruin. All that fancy basing I did, but we'll put a little bit on that as well. You can see the Mod Podge is already drying, and it does dry very clear. And I just don't like the finish it gives. Now this is Bones Black, which means you don't have to do that. This regular old sealant will do the job. Alright. Would that texture paint be better applied to the sculpting tool? I've never worked with that paint texture before. So the Valhalla Blizzard really doesn't. It's not really a texture paint, it's just microbeads in a medium. And you can actually thin it down quite a bit, like with just like your paint water. I've never really used the sculpture tool base, the sculpting tool. I think I did it like once or twice, and then just found that cheap brushes work better. Like you can thin it down, and like mind you, the like especially the regular texture paint, they will destroy your brushes. So only use the really cheap, crappy ones that you don't care about. But I mean, I found it applies perfectly fine with this stuff. Alright. Just want to see if there's anything else I want to do. Yeah, I want to do one more thing with this guy. Let's go ahead and take some Earth Brown. I just want to spruce up that axe heft a little bit. There we go. Let's get a little bit more to that axe haft. Let's do a little bit here. And then. Alright, but you can see the Mod Podge drying, and he's looking really good, guys. I'm really happy with how he turned out. And I got the simplest white miniature in the world painted. Alright guys, well there you go. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint this beautiful frost giant. God, that's a good sculpt. Oh, he looks so good. Now, I am going to have to hit him with a couple coats of the actual seal, like the spray sealant, in order to mat him down a bit, but he shouldn't wind up sticky. So not bad for a 2-hour stream. Not bad at all. Go ahead and strap these guys on my eternal quest to paint the monster manual. I am debating on doing more in this Winter Wolf, but I think I'm just going to have to leave them because there's not much more you can do with white. Alright guys, well I'm going to go and call it there. Catch you all next week. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Tune in on all my social medias. I have a YouTube channel now that I'm chronicling painting the monster manual on. I'd appreciate it if people would subscribe and view, like, and comment on my videos. It would help out quite a bit. Alright guys, well thank you much. Well, thank you again, Sanctum Seraph. Ilmarin, thank you for joining us as well. Anyone else who has joined us? Looks like we've had quite a few viewers today. Alright guys, see you next week. Until next week, paint more minis and be good to each other. Peace.